hit that intro. What up? We're the Movie Boys.
How's it going?
We've been on a hiatus for,
10 months? Listen, I don't think it's our fault. The whole world decided to get sick. I think the worst thing about the pandemic is the fact that I can't say that.
Should we start over?
No, it's cool. Like, we're going to keep going.
Okay, we're going to push through this. We're already peaking volume. We're already doing all kinds of stuff. So we can't do that because I can't even say people getting sick. All right, recutting. Here we go. This is the clap.
Wait, seriously? You're not gonna?
Dude, we can't have that, dude. We got to be professional. Hit that intro.
Shamdemic. Just keep the whole thing, dude. Just keep the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just keep the whole thing.
For everyone just now,
I don't believe it's a shamdemic.
for everyone
Clarification.
just now joining us, here's the setting, the ugly freaking setting behind us is because we set up this podcast because our father was doing a podcast, correct?
Father and mother.
Father and mother were doing this podcast, and someone, Dad, did not push record. So here we are, utilizing this space and this setup for our personal gain. And by personal gain, I mean revisiting a project that we started back in
No, it was
February.
in December because it was when the
Holy
Rise of Skywalker came out.
It was December.
That was 10 months ago. Almost.
I still haven't changed my mind on Rise of Skywalker, by the way. It still sucks.
I think I still would agree with things I said then. I think I do.
I think you're absolutely wrong, but we're going to move on.
I don't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure I was right.
We're going to move on. So what movies have come out recently that are even worth talking about?
What do you mean by recently? What movies have you seen since Rise of Skywalker?
Besides like Netflix movies?
Don't count movies that were already out. Like, I mean new movies that came out.
Okay, so basically nothing.
Nothing at all?
I saw Tenet.
So I saw the Harley Quinn movie that was terrible. I didn't like the movie at all.
Does this sound better on this side?
Am I okay? Am I too close or too far?
I think you sound great.
Okay. I saw that Harley Quinn movie. Just keep doing it. Shamdemic. Sorry. Plandemic, shamdemic.
Dude, you're such an idiot.
Sorry. Okay, so, and then I saw The Gentleman.
I gotta get comfy, dude. This is like the worst freaking chair we could have chosen.
It's bad. I saw The Gentleman. And I think that's it. I feel like there was one that I saw. Wait, 1917. We saw 1917.
Which one was that one?
That was the one where the camera never cut. That you called me that blew your mind.
Yeah, dude,
it was amazing.
One.
It was amazing.
We
would agree on that movie.
I cannot hate on that movie, even if I tried.
It's one movie we actually did agree on.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. Well, first of all, now that the pandemic, I mean, it's still going strong or whatever.
We're in Oklahoma, so everything's starting to open up.
It's chilling out a little bit. So movie theaters are actually opening.
Like 3 days a week.
Yeah. So we can go see some movies here and there, which is great.
Even though no movies are coming out.
Yeah.
Because they're all getting delayed, except for Tenet.
Right. But I have worked on some movies, and Blake Bennett. They're not anything like
subtle
Christopher Nolan crap, but no, Blake Bennett, who will be joining us in a couple weeks.
They tried to boot me off this podcast, and I won't let them.
Dude, listen, here's the deal. Noah, every time I've texted him about this freaking thing,
one time this has happened, and it was about 1917 in January.
Dude, you could have. What else did you have to do? You were just chilling.
I was getting
5 o'clock.
I was getting all my schoolwork ready to submit at that exact time.
I'm getting all my schoolwork ready to submit.
I'm sorry, I'm in grad school. Say, see that credential drop?
Oh, dude, that's a great credential drop.
I'm working on writing, script writing, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, script writing was like one class?
This is my second class in script writing, but it's a year-long class.
So what I was saying about Blake is Blake's going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about our experiences in the filmmaking world, and we're also going to be discussing films, Hopefully some bullcrap films. Like I want to review some
Bad movies.
garbage movies.
Thanksgiving 3, The Search for Thanksgiving 2.
That's right. Dude. See, stuff like that is what we're going to be talking about and discussing.
Don't watch
as
it.
well as like popular movies too, because like Tenet is a great one. Rise of Skywalker would be a big one, and like some of the other large ones that we've like. I would love to talk about 1917 at some point.
Oh, you want to just run through the movies like that movie and just say your thoughts on it real quick before we talk about Tenet?
Obviously, the story was great, the acting was great, and the cinematography was great. That's all I need to talk about.
I want to know if on the script, did it have to say continuous for the beginning of every scene? Like every shot change? Do you think?
I'm interested to see that script.
Me too.
It probably would, because it's. I mean,
Because it's continuous, like the whole movie, except for whenever he gets knocked out or whatever.
yeah, way to go. Way to find a good cut there, Birdman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically, they basically stole God of War 4, like the newest God of War technique. It's
Right.
like video game technique. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I would love to do a continuous film like that at some point, like a music video. I've seen music videos do that a lot,
Yeah, that's true.
scene to scene, seamless cuts, and all that stuff. Be
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, Tenet, what you got?
Dude, I should not have drank some Sprite. Dude, can we get a Sprite sponsorship? What up, Sprite?
Can we get a purified water sponsorship?
Dude, what up? Dude, that's the best
Purified
water.
water.
The purified ones is so much better than all the others. Okay,
Can
so
we get a, I don't want to rival, I don't make a rival out of stagnant water. Stagnant water sponsorship. We want,
what up?
we'll take that too.
We'll take it. So straight up, Tenet was awesome.
Yep.
But I'll just start out. It was awesome, but at the same time, it wasn't like a phenomenal. It wasn't Interstellar status. Would you agree with that?
Well, Interstellar is my favorite movie of all time.
So you would agree?
I would agree with that statement, but that's because
Was it on the level of Inception
yes.
as far as the story is concerned?
Let's rank our Christopher Nolan films.
Okay,
So
easy.
we have an idea of where we're at.
Easy. Now I haven't seen all Christopher Nolan films. I've seen the
I've
majority
seen all
of
of
them.
them except for one. That's really hard to find. So
Okay. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
you go first. So then I can flex on you with how many more Christopher Nolan movies I've seen.
So I would definitely say Inception is great. I'm trying to get a grip on all of these in my head. I would start with Dunkirk. Dunkirk would be first. I like.
It's actually the same as me.
I would like. I mean, I like that it goes back and forth with time. It's not a Nolan movie if there's not something.
Chronotope.
Yeah, it
That's
has
what
to
it-
have something to do with time.
Chronotope. You can look that up online.
Yeah, he's got to screw with time, or it's not one of his films.
Mhm.
So he goes back and forth.
he manipulates. It plays with time and how it has a certain effect on the viewer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because typical movies, I mean, are just cut and dry. Here's A, and you're going to end at B. You know what I mean? So he goes back and forth to, I mean, all over the place.
Even though it still does follow the A, B,
Right.
C,
Right.
relatively 3-act structure.
Relatively, yeah.
Pun intended,
If you're talking
because
about
relativity
if you're
with
talking
time.
about act structure, I'm just talking about from So okay, so I would start with Dunkirk. It was good, but I don't think it was as good as a lot of my friends made it out to be.
I actually agree with that.
You know what I mean? They were like, "Dude, Dunkirk was amazing. It was blah 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 blah." I think that it was great for what it was. Then you have The Dark Knight. No.
That's next.
No. I would then put Tenet.
Don't forget Batman Begins too.
Yeah.
Forget.
No, yeah, of course. That's why I backtracked.
Okay.
I would go Dunkirk, Tenet, Batman Begins, Inception, Dark Knight, Interstellar. And I'm sure I'm missing quite a few.
Did you say? You said Inception.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say? You didn't say The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
What?
I did not. Yeah.
Oh, the third movie.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, that one. That would go before The Dark Knight. It wasn't as good.
Okay. All right.
Would you agree with that though?
That it wasn't
Do you
as good
think
as
that The Dark Knight Rises was as good, worse, or better?
I think it was not as good. I think it was not as good as The Dark Knight, but better than Batman Begins.
Right. Yeah.
So,
you get Heath Ledger, and you can't just. I mean.
Yeah,
Come
I think that's pretty much. I think the only contentious thing some people would say Batman Begins is better than The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think that's true.
Right.
Okay, so here's my list, but I first want to caveat by saying that for me, there's no Christopher Nolan that gets below an 8 for me. So I still love all these movies.
Our scales are totally different.
Yeah, exactly. So all these movies, I'm not going to give you a number for each one, but I don't think any of them get below a 7 or an 8. Bottom would be Dunkirk, not because I don't think it's a good movie. It's just not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. It's good, but it's not the one I'm going to rewatch the most. For explanation, I fell asleep during the last time I tried to watch Insomnia, so I don't know. I'm not going to rate that one.
It's kind of ironic.
And it is, yeah, that's true. And then he has one movie that came out. It was like his first film, and I did not see that, so I'm not gonna rate that one. So Dunkirk, Batman Begins.
I'm so bored right now.
I know. I'm trying to think exactly how I want to do this. Memento.
Mm-hmm. I never saw Memento.
It's okay.
Which makes me horrible.
Less valuable as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Prestige, which is great. I love that movie. The Dark Knight Rises. Inception. The Dark Knight. No, sorry. Tenet, then The Dark Knight. There you go.
You think Tenet is that high up?
Yeah.
Okay, then we totally disagree.
Okay, Tenet, The Dark Knight, and then Interstellar, I think.
Yeah. So
right, did I miss anything?
We agree on Interstellar just because you can't touch it.
Yeah.
Literally, you can't touch it. And that's from the cinematography standpoint, from the story.
All of it.
To Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan together making a movie, baby.
It's also the movie made me realize that
it's amazing.
It's total nonsense to talk about how old the universe is. Why do we use a Newtonian time frame to discuss how old the universe is?
Interesting.
If depending on where you're at in the universe, time works differently.
It's very interesting.
Boom. You didn't expect it to get that, did you?
Relativity.
Yeah.
Stupid. So yeah, okay. So let's talk more about Tenet then. So you have obviously you have our scale. So now we know where we're at. But from my scale to yours, Tenet was on completely different sides. My Tenet was like the second or third of mine, and then you're saying Tenet is like the third.
Did I say third from the top? I think is what I said.
Yeah.
Because it was Interstellar, Dark Knight, Tenet.
Correct.
I think I would agree with that.
Well, you're the one who said it.
Yeah. I know, but I don't know what I'm saying most of the time. Okay,
I just spitball most of the things
exactly.
I said.
I think because I did this right after I saw Tenet, my wife and I went through the list of movies, and I think that's exactly what I said. I think that's the same order that I put them in.
Okay, so tell me why you think, and we need to talk details too, because we can't just say, "Oh, this is the best," because
which is what you usually do.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, go back. May we reference The Rise of Skywalker and the story plot holes?
And he would just say, "I just think it's stupid." I would explain the plot, and then you would say, "I think it's stupid."
It was stupid. No, it was stupid.
We're not going back to that.
Your positions were stupid.
Moving on now.
Okay.
I am speaking.
It's like 8 months later, and I'm still pissed.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I'm still speaking.
Yeah. I am speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I want to hear from you first, and then I will discuss, because we both agree that it was at least a decent movie.
And yeah, I think it
was a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It was good.
Yeah.
Tell me why you think it is one of the top 3 Nolan movies.
It's a hard question because first I want to say when we're playing in the 8 to 10 realm for me and the movies that are this good,
right?
It is, this sounds really like squishy, but it is highly up to preference in the sense of what you like. So like Dunkirk, I don't think is an objectively worse movie
right?
than, The Prestige. I just like The Prestige better because the setting is cool and like the characters are cool and the acting is.
We would agree that taste. It has to do with taste and it's all subjective, but you have to back it up with something.
All that being said, I know I'm just kind of.
You can't cop out here,
I'm just stating that as my upfront
thing.
Okay. So first of all, I got to see it in the IMAX, which I think is the only way to watch a Christopher Nolan movie is on the IMAX.
Of course.
So I think what I liked about it is Christopher Nolan knows that his system of making movies is becoming. People are starting to get to where they can not quite predict it, but they know what it's going to be. There's going to be a plot twist at the end. There's going to be some play around with time. And so when you go to see Tenet, you know that something's going to happen in reference to time. Like it's going to have some, even though you have no idea what the trailer's about, you can kind of guess what's going on.
Okay, pause.
I haven't even.
Pause.
Go ahead.
Did you say you have no idea what the trailer's about? Because my point, I'm going to say the complete. Go ahead, because I'll just bring it up in my time.
You're going to say that the movie was the trailer?
I was going to say that you could pretty much get the gist of the time thing, at least in the trailer, yes.
That's true, but I don't think the point of the movie is the time thing. I think he's just using that.
Sure.
So because that was the whole thing when you're watching the trailer, it's like, I don't know what this movie's about, but they can just put Christopher Nolan's name on it and I'll go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, I just want to say that we live in one of the greatest time periods of all time because we live in a world where we got to see Batman movies made by Christopher Nolan. I don't think people realize how cool that is. So, anyway.
Also, okay, we'll talk about the breathing loophole in a second, but go ahead. I was going to talk about when you reverse the time. So I'm getting ahead of this because now I'm remembering a lot of the scenes that I saw 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So.
It's been a while. But now I'm questioning a lot of the things that happened. But go ahead, finish, and I will give you your time. I will mute myself.
So, okay, yeah, I'm speaking.
Nope.
No. So, with that being said, with him, the fact that he has a certain structure to his movies and people can somewhat guess, there's going to be some question at the end and that sort of thing. He managed to make the movie still almost entirely unpredictable. There were certain points when you knew something was going to happen, but if you guessed what was about to happen and you were correct, it was going to happen in like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever you realize, wait, he's the guy that's reversed that he fights earlier on in the movie. You realize that about 2 minutes before he fights him. So it's not the kind of thing where you can guess the ending by the beginning of the movie. There's no way you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So even whenever your brain's in that mode, in Christopher Nolan movie watching mode, where you're trying to guess the whole idea the whole time, it's made to keep you from doing that, which I think is cool. And so it keeps your brain working while you watch the movie. I think it was one of the more interesting takes on time travel that I've ever seen, or manipulation of time that I've ever seen.
I wouldn't say it's time travel. I mean, it could be, but it's not.
Technically, all time is time travel.
Shut up.
Yeah, but it's traveling
Time reversal.
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, it's not huge steps back into time. It's just going from that moment then back.
Exactly. Yeah. Reversing the entropy.
Yes. Which is cool. I love the idea.
If you reverse your entropy, does that mean that you'll be a baby eventually?
Yeah. But okay, let me ask this question to you though. Okay, do you think that is more intense, like more of a mind juke than Inception, something like Inception?
I don't think it's made to be more of a Inception's mind juke is more like a certain big moments.
Yeah.
That do that. I think it's more like the scenes in Inception whenever they're showing clips of each layer back to back, where it'll show what it's like on the van and what it's like, because it's more of like a slowly working out the
right.
Because you couldn't just jump to a mind blowing moment in Tenet and understand it. Like it has to, the idea has to be worked out like a syllogism,
Right.
So I don't think it's meant.
I mean, it was good, but would you agree that it's kind of like it's understandable on like looking from the outside in? If you just said, okay, he starts here and then he goes back in time, it's not that intense as far as like understanding what's going on.
Kind of.
Whenever you're experiencing it in the film, then it's what's.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So like if you explain it, it sounds like it makes sense, and then you watch the movie,
like,
and there was
crap.
a point where during that fight scene toward the end, I was like, I just have to turn my brain off because I do not understand how these timelines are working. Because that one guy that started out in reverse ends up going forward and then back reverse again. Like, I don't understand it.
Right.
So, yeah, it to me it was cool because it's like Christopher Nolan's always refusing to use effects or anything like that. And he's like, all right, fine, I'll use one effect.
Yeah.
Rewind. I'll use the rewind button, and then we'll see what I can do with that.
Right.
I can do more with the rewind button than you can with all of your Avengers budget. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's legit. No, I agree. It was good on those terms. You know, I mean, the fight scenes. I was watching behind the scenes of like how they even trained for that. Like,
I didn't see that.
Learning how to kind of just move that way, because when you're fighting, you're actually acting. You're having to act in reverse. You can't. Yeah. I mean, you can do After Effects, but it's Nolan, so he's not going to want to.
So they actually did those fight scenes just like that.
He tried whatever he could do to make it look like he was fighting in reverse.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Which is pretty wild. So those were good. I think what really got me was just like, I mean, the story was great. I mean, but it's a spy, basically a spy. It's your typical spy movie, but with a reverse aspect and all kinds of
James Bond with time manipulation.
Yeah. There's all these layers and stuff.
Yeah. Can we get up kind of a what up from my boy Robert Pattinson?
Yeah. What up? Yeah. He started from the bottom. Now he's here, man.
Exactly.
You know, he really worked his way up.
Exactly. Yeah. It was impressive.
He didn't start off so strong.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't never see Twilight, but I'm assuming
it wasn't so strong.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay in Harry Potter, but he was just kind of like there, and then he died. So, sorry, spoiler, Goblet of Fire.
Oh man, what the crap?
Sorry.
Okay, so, what was I talking about? You just interrupted me. Oh, you idiot!
So you're supposed to trash.
Oh, I was trying. Okay, yeah. No, what we're talking about is like, okay, so, you know, we go in reverse, and that was kind of like what the whole movie leaned on. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay, they did all this stuff in reverse, and he's seeing what's going to happen. He's doing all this stuff. He's manipulating this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Which in my mind is like, okay, that's good. But I think you could have gone deeper. And another thing I didn't really have as much as like with Interstellar and Inception or his other films was more of a emotional connection with the characters. I think the most emotional connection you need to have in that movie was the rich dude's wife. Don't you agree? Like she's really our emotional. She's carrying the emotional weight in this film. Like all of the feeling sorry for somebody or pain or whatever is from that individual. Now the main guy,
we don't really know much about him.
No,
we just know that he's a cool spy guy.
Right, and it left it open for another one. I understand that too.
Does he make sequels though?
I don't really know.
I don't think
he's done. I mean,
he's gonna make a Christopher Nolan cinematic universe, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
He was contracted.
I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah.
So, but in my mind, we didn't have as much of the typical Nolan like gut wrenching emotional performances. Like,
do you think we usually have a really deep emotional connection to a Nolan character though?
There's always a barrier with the Nolan.
Like
character.
who would be a comparable version of that in like Inception?
In Inception?
Yeah.
I would say Leonardo DiCaprio's relationship with his wife.
Yeah.
Because it's not just his wife we're looking at her emotional. She's gone crazy and all this stuff.
And he slowly unfolds that too. Yeah,
right. But you're experiencing in his emotions and his relationship with her that his pain and those moments with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's our protagonist. And then in the end, he doesn't, I mean, it leaves the freaking top is spinning, leaving it open whether or not he's in the dream world or not.
Yeah.
Right? And it wouldn't even matter to him. We're there with him with those emotions. So the story in my mind, and even with The Dark Knight, you're thinking about Bruce Wayne and his loss of his parents and how that still wrecks him daily.
I think with I don't think that's true of The Dark Knight. I think it's true of Batman Begins.
Okay, Batman Begins. Excuse me.
But because Dark Knight, you're not really connected to
No, I would
Bruce
agree.
at all.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I meant that
You're
in a
good.
broad term of like all the Batman series.
Yeah.
So, but no, there is definitely that emotional. You feel more of what Bruce Wayne would feel.
Or to use the best example would be Interstellar, his relationship with his daughter. Like that's the whole.
Yeah, whenever he's seeing his daughter grow up before him with all these messages, and you're just watching him cry. Yeah. Besides all the memes and stuff.
that's the whole. Even though it's a complicated movie, but maybe this is where I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. You are right on this.
Thank you for that.
That what makes Interstellar so great is that even though it's an incredibly complicated movie, the thing that's driving the plot is something as simple as a father-daughter relationship.
This is a classic example of A plot in a movie and B plot.
Exactly.
And I think in Tenet, not to interrupt, but in Tenet, the B plot was lacking.
Yeah, it was only A plot pretty much with some B plot, but you can tell that he was trying to do that same thing in the deepening and the connection.
Right.
But it wasn't as successful as something like Interstellar.
You're not watching the Titanic. I mean, I've had many people tell me this. You're not watching the Titanic because of the A plot.
Exactly, yeah.
You know that the Titanic's going to sink.
Exactly.
You're watching it because of this love story, the B plot, what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think as far as Tenet was concerned, the B plot, the thing that was driving and keeping viewers engaged, was more of like trying to transfer from an emotional experience into some sort of trippy, weird time reversal.
Well, it's like whenever...
Which is like the A plot and the B plot were kind of just melded together. And he was kind of just riding off of how cool time reversal is going to be.
And when Nolan brought Hans Zimmer the idea for Interstellar, he just brought him a section of dialogue between a father and a son at the time. And Hans Zimmer created the soundtrack idea, like the main theme. And then he was like, all right, it's a space movie. And then now we need to make it spacey.
Right.
And so I don't know if you could have done that. I agree with that. I don't know if you could do that in the same way with Tenet, where you could just pull out a relationship.
Let it be known that he's agreeing with me.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I still don't. I'm not moving my ranking, but I do think that's true.
But so that was. I mean, in my mind, that was the biggest falling of Tenet.
Yeah.
It was great in as far as like the idea going back and forth, and changing time and changing destiny and whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any kind of emotional connection. The most emotional connection or experience that I had was from I can't remember the rich guy, the antagonist's wife.
Yeah, and you can tell that's what they're pushing for.
Yeah.
Here's my main criticism of the movie. You get some throwaway lines that are not explained very well about what his motivation is. But you're still left with really no idea what his motivation is besides just like a screw the world kind of thing.
Right. I think they would argue too, though, because in the last scene, or one of the last scenes, they were talking about how, they've been working with each other for a long time, basically. And he didn't remember that because he's gone all over the place in time. So he had, they had their relationship, but I think that they're kind of downplaying some of those plot holes, and by saying, "Oh, this happened in a different point in time," we can just gloss over it.
Yeah, or they're just realizing that it opens up when you do time stuff like this. It just opens up a lot of questions that can't be answered.
Yeah, that's true.
So suspension of disbelief kind of stuff. But I never got a clear character motivation for him of why he was doing that.
Right. And
I understand that maybe it was like subtext kind of stuff, but if you're gonna have a villain that's literally trying to destroy the world, this obviously isn't an equal comparison, but Thanos has a clear motivation.
Right.
The Joker has a clear motivation.
Yeah.
The guy from Skyfall has a clear motivation. Like, villains have to have a clear motivation, and the bigger their goal is, the more clear that motivation needs to be, or else it takes you out of the story. Like, if your goal is just to like rob a bank or something, the motivation doesn't have to be super complex with your character. If your motivation is to destroy the fabric of reality, you have to do a lot of work to explain why your motivation would be to destroy the fabric of reality.
Right. So I'm trying to even remember, because it's been a few months. That's a good point you're making, because it was such a glossed over.
The idea was that he was working with people from the future. And that was the idea. That he was basically dying anyway, so he was just like, screw this.
So he's
working
dying,
for them
so he wants
to save
everything else.
because they're trying to save somehow the people in the future are trying to save their present by destroying our present. But if you're going to make a complicated statement like that, you need to explain it because I didn't understand what he was talking about. Right. So you never because that's how you make the villain sympathetic. Right. That's how you make the villain an actual character, not just a plot device. And so that was my main issue with it, is his motivation. He was the Thanos of Christopher Nolan. He was trying to destroy the fabric of reality. Right. And they didn't. And Thanos they did a better job of explaining Thanos' motivation than Christopher Nolan did of explaining this guy.
He should have done a little bit more work on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, I just think he kind of banked more on how cool it would be to do some reversal stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not. I mean, that's not really a Nolan thing to do.
Yeah, and there were still parts of the story that I thought were good. Like I thought the A plot was still good. I thought the fact that the stuff they did with Robert Pattinson's character and how they've been friends this whole time, and then when they revealed that the main character had been actually the one in charge of the whole thing without him realizing it. Right. I thought that was all really good, and they brought you along in that really well. They just need to do a little more work on that B plot.
Yeah. So, okay, overall status, where do you rank it? I mean, cinematography, we would agree that cinematography is great, lighting, everything, blah, 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 blah.
The story's not bad. There's just a couple issues that I saw that bothered me a little bit.
Did our conversation today help you understand, see more?
You brought up that one point that I hadn't thought about.
Thank you.
No problem.
I really appreciate that.
I brought up a criticism that you hadn't thought about, though.
Which one?
The one about how they didn't give him a good enough motivation.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
So I hadn't thought about that either. I feel like you should give me some credit for that.
Okay, so are we both lowering our scale of Tenet then?
I don't think I'm lowering it, but I haven't said what my scale is yet.
Okay, what is it?
Let me think about it. Can you give yours first?
I would give it can I do halves? This is out of 10. No halves or yes?
You can give halves. That's fine.
I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
That's pretty drastic. Why?
Drastic in what direction?
That's pretty high in my mind.
It doesn't take a lot to convince me something's a high
Where
scale.
would Interstellar be?
10.
Okay, 10 out of 10. What was in between?
Dark Knight.
Where would Dark Knight be?
9.
So you're giving it 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see that. But would you go all the way down? You said earlier you wouldn't go down below a 4 or something like that.
No, I wouldn't go below an 8 for a Christopher Nolan movie. So I think pretty much all of his movies after that I think are at 8.5 or 8, like somewhere between that.
Even
they're all clustered. Yeah, I think Dunkirk would be the closest to me for like a 7.5, but I'd be fine with putting it at an 8.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 10 for me has to to me like a 9 is a perfect film. 10 is something that goes like even beyond, like you could have done way less than this and I would have been all in. Then they went way even more than I expected and needed to really blow my mind. So yeah.
Okay.
Now I would like to say for the record, my scale is more genre related. So if you come back and say, Noah, are you saying The Rise of Skywalker is a better film than Tenet? I'm going to say no. Yeah. If you say, is it a better film than The Dark Knight? I'm going to say no. Actually, I'm going to say The Dark Knight's a 10 because I'm going to rate it as a superhero film. If I'm rating it as a Christopher Nolan film, I'm going to say it's a 9.
Okay.
So it depends on what kind of...
So this is very subjective to which... So if you're talking
category.
About even specific directors at this point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So for example, I'm not going to compare a movie like The Incredibles to a movie like Schindler's List. It's not possible. Like you can't do that. It doesn't make sense to do that.
So I would be totally comfortable in giving it the same numbers, although I think it's obvious that it would be in a different category.
Yeah.
I would still say out of 10 on my preference scale, on what I like, I would still give it a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I would do the same for the other.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So my perspective is it goes without saying.
Exactly. Okay.
But your problem is, and I think we need to address that at some point. I think your categories need to be consistent. Your numbers need to be consistent
Like an overall number.
You need to have overall numbers.
So I came out with recently. Not recently. I was doing some blogs recently, and I put out a top 10, top 15 movies of 2019. I think I did that, and I had on there.
You did that?
I think I did that, and I had a scale where I had.
You don't know if you posted it or
I had
not?
the preferential numbers, and then I had like my own personal thing, and then I thought like the objective score. So I did. I gave it 2 different scores. Let me see.
Are you Googling right now?
NoahDelk.com. That's my website. You should check it out.
By the way, that was a horrible plug for yourself, but at the same time, we need to have a moment of silence for Sir Sean Connery.
Yeah.
He died today. One of the greats. May he rest in peace.
We never got to have him in another Indiana Jones movie. They should have. Why didn't they pay him more money for and not make the 4th one?
Why did they make the 4th one?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a better question. That's an episode for later on. Like the 4th Indiana Jones, which was how would you describe that? What word would you give it? The worst movie of whatever year that was. That
worst movie of the decade.
Take out of
that
my
was
mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I did video games. I did. Yep, no, I didn't do movies. I have the whole thing written of what the scale was.
So did you just forget to post it, or did you just?
I think I just didn't write the whole thing. I was gonna start a podcast and then forgot. So.
You mean like a podcast called Movie Boys?
No, like one where it's just me talking.
And you don't have someone to call you out on your stupid ideas or theories?
That's the one. So I do. So for me, scaling is all about category, because back to that thing, because you can't just say, what movie do you prefer, Mr. Bean or Interstellar? Like, obviously, or what's your ranking?
That wouldn't
of the
even
two
be
things?
a
Or
logical
the
question
Hangover,
for someone to ask, right?
Correct. Yeah. The Hangover versus
let me ask it this way.
Inception.
Let me ask it this way, because I think this is how we need to go about this for future movies.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you need to have a category for, okay, this is a Nolan film, 1 out of 10 or 0 out of 10. Okay. You need to have an overall numbers. So if I were to ask you, what would you give Mr. Bean 1 out of 10 or 0 to 10?
Mr. Like the first one?
Yeah,
I haven't
Mr.
seen it
Bean.
in so long. Can you pick a different movie?
Elf. I don't know. Name one.
Elf.
Or if we're gonna stick with Rowan Atkinson,
Johnny English.
Johnny English.
First one.
Yeah.
Are we talking just a general rating?
Johnny English. I'm asking for a 0
Johnny
to
English
10.
films.
Yes.
You can make it way too specific in the category too, like Johnny English films made in 2006. I don't know what year it came out.
Okay. So you understand what I'm getting at, though.
I do.
Okay.
So
that's what it needs to be. It needs to be consistent. So as we're moving
but you do
forward,
understand my problem, my category.
I understand your problem, but I'm not asking you to compare it to a comedy.
Well, that's why I brought up the thing about if someone hears me say I'm giving 10 an 8.5, and then they go back to our recent video.
But that's way too complicated. No one's gonna watch that recent video. It was 10 months ago.
I know. I'm just saying that if someone watched
pre-pandemic
and they had already seen it, and then they went and watched this, they'd say, "Noah thinks." I don't think that's true.
Right.
I don't think it's fair to compare Tenet. Oh gosh. On the same scale with Star Wars.
I would agree, but I don't think we're asking that.
Okay. Yeah.
So just give me.
For the record, and by the way, I just want to say one more thing. If you asked me on a general scale, if we're doing a general scale, I would not give Rise of Skywalker a 10.
Really?
Yeah. It's not Interstellar. Interstellar is the only probably one of the only movies I would actually give a straight up 10 to.
I'm remembering that you gave a 10 to Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember our anger.
So do you want to hear what I would give it on a general movie scale?
I would love to hear a general, yeah.
Let me pull it up.
Because that's really what do you mean pull it up?
I have all my movies that I ranked a certain way, and I want to make sure I don't disagree.
Did you rank it in what? Okay, because we just had that conversation.
I had a general rank, and I have this still.
That was the wrong one. There it is.
Nice. That's so cool,
I'm
dude.
learning these buttons, dog.
Okay, here we go. All right. So, yeah.
Hold on, what was this one? That's terrible. Oh, okay.
So I get you're not gonna like this because it totally invalidates our whole argument we had last time.
Are you serious?
So my genre rating for Star Wars Episode 9 was 10. My overall rating for Star Wars was 7.
Are you kidding me? So hold on. That whole argument
was based on a genre debate.
You're so stupid. Okay, from now on until all eternity, no more of this genre bull crap, okay? You have to give it an overall, your preference. Here's 0 to 10. Okay?
But it's hard to do that with all movies. Because then people start asking you to compare movies.
Then don't do that. Then we'll get on to people. If they say, okay, what do you think about Johnny English compared to Interstellar? Then they're idiots, okay? That's not a thing.
Alrighty then.
I'm not going to ever ask you that.
Okay.
You gave it a freaking 7,
then
and we had that argument over you.
Yeah. I think I'm still good with Tenet being an 8 or an 8.5. I think I'm still good with that. If we're saying overall, I think I'll leave it.
Okay, let's go back to Dunkirk. Where are we at on a overall scale?
7.
Okay, so we're lower. Okay, more respect for you, because I think if you're at 8
because
to 10,
you understand
you're doing decimals, and we don't do that.
And also, what I'm saying is, this is why that kind of scale gets weird, but also it makes sense, is that the best movie in the genre becomes the 10. Because instead of it being some nebulous version of a 10, like it actually exists. Right. So Star Wars, a 10 would be Empire Strikes Back.
Of course.
Right?
We would agree.
Christopher Nolan, a 10 would be Interstellar. It's not like
Correct.
10 is some nebulous movie that doesn't exist. It actually does exist.
We don't have to
clarify.
We don't have to clarify. This is a Lucas film. This is a Nolan film. Whatever it may be. You would just.
It is a useful tool in certain situations.
It's useful. You don't have to say it though, because people are going to understand that.
Yeah.
We're not comparing, apples and oranges.
People sometimes think that though.
We don't. Yeah. But I don't think that's a fair. It's fair
I think
for us to give it a 0 to 10.
I think I said that in our review. I think I said that I'm rating it as a Star Wars movie.
We're gonna have to go back watch it again.
I don't really want to, but I think I said
there was a lot of gnashing
rated
of teeth.
It as a Star Wars movie. I think is what I said.
Yeah, that was pretty angry. And I'm looking forward to the next film
where we disagree.
Completely, because we've actually from the beginning of this podcast to the end have come closer to agreeing on Tenet.
Yeah,
which is rare.
It's a good moment.
It's a good moment.
Yeah.
It really
Feels
is.
Good. Yeah.
So, but I'm excited to bring in Blake. He's going to start hanging out with us. I would love to get Garrett to hang out with us.
That'd be cool.
And some of our other film buddies that kind of just chill.
Does that mean I get to be a film buddy now? I write. I feel like that gives me a unique perspective.
You're very opinionated with your films. And I think that's why you have the right to be here.
Thank you.
But I would love to, at some point, talk more technically about...
I want to make you watch a really weird movie, really weird art movies. I want to make you watch The Tree of Life.
Oh gosh,
and Terrence Malick.
I don't even know.
No, you're not gonna like it.
But we can. We can learn a little bit more together as far as like why they chose certain things and such, and things with cinematography and all that. And Blake and Garrett will be able to talk more to that. But another thing that we want to start adding is not just these movie reviews, but talking about our experiences. On films, being filmmakers ourselves and working in the film industry, and do our own thing, talking about some of the wild things that have happened to us, and
I will watch you talk about it.
You can watch us, and you can have a beer with us. And
I can give input at random times about stories I've heard of other people.
Right.
Exactly.
But still, you can even watch some of our stuff and see it from that view. And then we can talk about how we got to this point.
And I can talk about writing and like the writing aspect of film and the publishing world and how there's a lot of correlation.
You have that aspect going. Absolutely. Because the writing thing is not really my strong suit, but I know a good story when I see a good story.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to be fun. So there's a lot of we have a lot of plans and goals for this podcast. Hopefully we'll be more consistent at this point.
Yeah. Hopefully the pandemic will decide to calm down.
Yeah, hopefully there's not another pandemic that happens and we can't go watch movies. But now that the movie theaters are opening up and, we can do more and talk about more. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us, and tune in for the next Movie Boys.